Hey guys, Kaishiniko here, and I'm doing a deck profile of my Superheavy Samurai deck. It's a really fun deck to play. It's an all-monster deck because a lot of their effects use spell and you can't have any spell or trap cards in your graveyard. You're also able to take your opponent's spell and trap cards with certain cards. And yeah, it's just really fun. They attack while they're in defense, and they have really low attacks to get over things like bottomless trap hole and whatnot. So let's get started with the deck. I run 3 Superheavy Samurai Big Benkei. He's the boss monster of the deck besides the synchros. He is an 8-star Earth, 1000 attack, 3500 defense. When he's normal or special summoned, you can put him in defense position. And Superheavy Samurai monsters you control can attack while in face-up defense, and if they do, apply their defense for damage calculation. So he lets all your other Superheavy Samurai monsters attack in defense. And yeah, he's really great. Next I have 3 Flutist, 500 attack, 1000 defense. You can normal summon him, and then you can tribute him to special summon 1 super heavy monster from your hand. So you can normal summon him, and then tribute to special summon Benkei, and then attack for 3500. Really simple. During either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that targets a Super Heavy Samurai monster you control, you can banish this card from the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. You can only use each effect of Super Heavy Samurai Flutist once per turn. So he's a good protection. So let's say you go normal, tribute, special, and then you go to attack and they do deprison. You can then banish Flutist from the grave to protect him because it stops the targeting and his attack would still go through. So it's a really great card, great utility for the deck. Next is 3 Super Heavy Samurai Big Waraji, yeah, something like that. 800 attack, 1800 defense, so he's got a good defense to attack with when he's in defense. If you have no spell or trap cards in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. After this card was special summoned this way, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Super Heavy Samurai monsters. This card can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a machine type monster. So if I have Big Waraji in my hand and a Big Benkei in my hand, I can special summon Waraji and then tribute summon Benkei using him as both tributes, and then he'll go into defense, and then I can attack for 3500. So he's a good card to have in the deck too. Now there is an OCG version that I run that I only limit him to 2, but it still works just fine. I run 1 Trumpeter, and in the OCG version I run 2. He's a level 2 Earth Tuner, 300 attack, 300 defense, which doesn't really matter because you don't really attack with him. If you have no spell or trap cards in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. After this card was special summoned this way, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Super Heavy Samurai monsters. If this card is tributed for the tribute summon of a Super Heavy Samurai monster and sent to the graveyard, and you have no spell or trap cards in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. So if he's on the field with another monster, or you already have a monster on the field, you can special summon him and then tribute them both. For Benkei, his effect activates, so he'll then special summon onto the field, and then you can synchro for the level 10 if you want to. Next is 3 Battleball. I really love this card. It gets over some stuff that's really funny. It's a level 2. It's a dark, so it's not searchable with Giant Rat or stuff, because you run Giant Rat in here because mostly everything is Earth. He's also a tuner, 100 attack, 800 defense. If all monsters you control are Super Heavy Samurai monsters and you have no spell or trap cards in your graveyard, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls that has a level. Send both this card from the field to the graveyard, both it and this card. Then special summon from your extra deck 1 Super Heavy Samurai Synchro monster whose level equals the total original levels of those 2 monsters in the graveyard. The special summon is considered a synchro summon. You can only use the effect of Super Heavy Samurai Battleball once per turn. So basically, since there's only 2 synchros right now, that's a level 6 and a level 10, what you can do is if your opponent has a level 4 monster, normal summon and use his effect to target him and the opponent's monster, send them to the grave, and then bring out the level 6. If they have a level 8 monster, like Judgment Dragon, or any other level 8 monsters that are out there, Blue Eyes, White Dragon, anything that has a level, you can then send him and that monster and your opponent's monster to the graveyard to then bring out the Synchro Summon monster, which is really great because there was one time I had an opponent had 3 back row with a Thunder King Ryo on the field. I normal summoned Battleball, used his effect targeting himself and the Thunder King Ryo, sent them to the grave, brought out Shutendoji, which destroys all spell and trap cards when it hits the field, and so I destroyed all 3 of his spell and trap cards. Next, I run 2 Superheavy Samurai Scales. He's pretty good. He's 800 attack, 1800 defense. If your opponent controls 2 or more monsters and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target 1 level 4 or lower Super Heavy Samurai monster in your graveyard, except for Super Heavy Samurai Scales. Special summon it in defense position. You can only use the effect of Super Heavy Samurai Scales once per turn. So he's great if you have a Battleball or a Trumpeter in your grave. You can, and your opponent has 2 monsters. You can special summon Battleball, and then use Battleball on that monster, or you can then synchro with these to bring out Shutendoji, which is nice. Next up is 3 Gigagloves. I really like Gigagloves. He's a good card. 100 attack, 1000 defense. It's not really what he's used for. What it is that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you have no spell trap cards in your graveyard, you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, then place them on top of the deck in any order. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, activate the top card of the deck, and if it's a Super Heavy Samurai monster, add it to your hand. And if you do, the attacking monster's attack becomes 0, otherwise send it to the graveyard. So you set up your plays, you set him face down, they go to attack it, it goes to the graveyard. You then look at the top 5, and it's like, oh, the top 5 cards, I'm going to put them however I want. And then if they had another monster, you already know what you set up, so you're like, oh, look, it's a Super Heavy Samurai monster, so it comes to my hand, and that monster's attack becomes 0, and you take no damage. And then, let's say next turn you can bring out Benkei, and then attack that 0 attack monster, and they take the full damage. So he's a really good card to use. I like him a lot. I like him mainly for his ability to look at the top 5 cards and place them anywhere you want, so you can set up your turns. Next is one of the new cards, Super Heavy Samurai Blowtorch. Not a lot of people run him. What he does is, when an opponent's monster declares an attack while you have no spell trap cards in your graveyard, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target 1 Super Heavy Samurai monster you control, change the attack target to it, and perform damage calculation. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can change the attack target to this card and perform damage calculation. Cannot be destroyed by battle. So I don't use it really for the first effect, I use it for the second, because I'll set him face down, they go to attack it, and I now have a wall that can't be destroyed by battle. And then if I have a monster that they're going to attack and I don't want them to attack that monster because I don't want it to die yet or something, I can just say, okay, your monster targets once per turn. I can have it target Blowtorch, which is really nice. Next up are starting the hand traps. I use 3 Soulbuster Gauntlet. It's a really good card because you can either equip it to a Super Heavy Samurai monster to give it 400 defense, or during the damage step, during either player's damage step, when a Super Heavy Samurai monster you control battles an opponent's monster, you can send it from your hand to the graveyard to double your monster's original defense. So Benkei goes from 3,500 to 7,000. So it's a really good card to just knock out your opponent's monsters and give them a crazy amount of damage. Next is 3 Soulfire suit. Soulfire suit's really amazing. It's also a non-earth monster that's in the deck. You can target a Super Heavy Samurai monster you control and equip it. If you do, that monster's level becomes 5, but I don't know why they have that effect for that. The other effect is you discard it from your hand to target a defense position Super Heavy Samurai monster you control. Until the end of this turn, it loses 800 defense, but cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. So, let's say on your turn, you have a Benkei on the field, and your opponent goes and does Regeki or whatever. You can then send this to the grave to protect it, and then if they go to try to attack it because his defense becomes lowered, they won't be able to get through anyway because it can't be destroyed by battle, on top of not being able to destroy by card effects. Next is 3 Super Heavy Samurai Soulpiercers. This is a really good card. It's a searcher. If it's sent to the graveyard, you get to search your deck for any Super Heavy Samurai card. You can also equip it to a Super Heavy Samurai monster, and it inflicts piercing damage when it attacks a defense position monster. So that's really, really good for both of those effects. Sometimes I'll just have it in my hand and I'll just set it so that they attack it, so then I can then search my deck for anything I need. Next is something I just recently started putting in, and I really like it. It's a Soulbang cannon. You equip it to a Super Heavy Samurai monster that's in defense, and it gains 1,000 defense. So Benkei becomes 4,500 instead of 35. While it's in the graveyard, if your opponent activates any cards during the battle phase, what is it? It says, activates a card effect while you control a defense position Super Heavy Samurai monster during either player's battle phase. You can banish this card from your graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Then destroy as many monsters on the field as possible. And if you do, both players take 1,000 damage. So it's a really good card. It's good because even if let's say you don't have anything or something, or they try to do honest or whatever, you can play it to then you can destroy your cards. Or if you have Soulbang suit, Soulfire suit, you can then play your Soulfire suit in response to it to protect your monster and kill theirs. Okay, next is 3 Giant Rats. He's a searcher. He's one of the only. There's a couple more, but he's one of the few non-Super Heavy Samurai monsters in the deck. I think everybody knows what he does. When it's destroyed by battle, you special summon 1 Earth monster with 1,500 or less attack from your deck to the field in face-up attack position. Benkei is 1,000 attack, so you can search it. You can search it out with Giant Rat, and then its effect will put it into defense to now give it a nice 3,500 defense wall. Next, I run Silver Sentinel. I only run Silver Sentinel right now because we don't have Super Heavy Samurai Thief. Silver Sentinel, what it does is you can set it in your spell and trap card zone as a face down as a spell and trap card. During the end phase, that it was just the set card was destroyed by your opponent's card effect. You can special summon it to the field and destroy a card, or destroy a card and then special summon it to the field. And even if you don't destroy a card, you still get the effect of special summoning it. So it's a really nice card to have. It also lets you have, to do some spell and trap card destruction if you want, or some monster destruction. Also, if you have like a Battleball or a Trumpeter in your hand, on your next turn you can play it, and then you can synchro for a level 6 monster. Usually, this would be a level 6 Earth monster, so you can do Barkion or that, and you can go into the Hi-Speedroid monster. But he gets switched out for Super Heavy Samurai Thief when it comes out next set, which is a level 10 machine type monster, 1,000 attack, 1,000 defense, that you can special summon to the field, and then if you have no spell trap cards in your graveyard, and then you contribute it to destroy a spell or trap card your opponent controls, and if you do, you can then take that spell and trap card and set it on your side of the field, or destroy a pendulum monster in a pendulum zone that your opponent controls, and if you do, you can then add that monster to your pendulum side, to your pendulum zone, which is really awesome.
Next is 2 Maxx. People like to special summon, I like to draw. And 2 Veilers. So, just negating stuff. So next up is the extra deck, which is really nice. I run 2 Superheavy Samurai Ogre Shutendoji, 500 attack, 2500 defense, so he gets over bottomless or gets under bottomless. He's a level 6. You need a machine tuner and a non-tuner type Superheavy Samurai monster. This card can attack while in face-up defense. If it does, apply its defense for damage calculation. When this card is synchro summoned, while you have no spell or trap cards in your graveyard, you can destroy all spell and trap cards your opponent controls. So he's a good, nice little monster to just get rid of the back row and then start attacking their monsters. Next is Superheavy Samurai Warlord Susanowo, level 10. 1 machine type tuner, 1 or more non-tuner Superheavy Samurai monsters. This card can attack while in face-up defense. If it does, apply its defenses for damage calculation. Once per turn, during either player's turn, if you have no spell or trap cards in your graveyard, you can target 1 spell or trap card in your opponent's graveyard, set it to your side of the field, but banish it when it leaves the field. Now, it's a quick play effect. It's got 2400 attack, which is high, so it can get stopped by bottomless and stuff like that, but you can still activate its effect in response to bottomless with 3800 defense. So if they got nothing to stop the summon, it's got a nice big defense to run over monsters. Basically, one of his effects, with his effect, I played against a Superheavy Samurai. I played against a Shadal's deck, where the Shadal, they brought out Construct, went to use Construct's effect to get Shadal Fusion back to their hand. I activated Susanowo's effect. I took their Shadal Fusion and set it on my side of the field. Then they MST'd the Shadal Fusion, thinking it'll go back to the grave, but instead, because of his effect, it gets banished. So they lost the Shadal Fusion. It was pretty funny. So Susanowo is a really good card. I usually bring out Shutendoji a lot more than I bring out Susanowo, but when I bring out Susanowo, every turn I'm taking my opponent's cards, no matter what. As long as he's on the field, I'm taking their stuff. I played against somebody who played Fiendish Chain on him, and before I used his effect, and so then I chained his effect in response and took the MST that they had in their graveyard, and then on my next turn I MST'd the fusion, the Fiendish Chain, and then I took the Fiendish Chain and put it on my side of the field, and then just kept doing stuff like that. Next is Hi-Speedroid Kendama. It's a machine. It's level 6. 1 tuner, 1 or more non-tuner monsters. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict battle damage to your opponent. So it's a nice little piercer. You can banish 1 machine type monster from your graveyard and inflict 500 damage to your opponent, which is, the whole deck is mainly machines, except for the non-machine monsters, and it's only like 6, something like that. 9. There we go. You can, if this card is in your graveyard and you control no cards, you can special summon this card. You cannot normal summon or set the turn you activate this effect, but you can still special summon. So it's a pretty good card. 2200 attack, 1600 defense. He's not bad. I bring him out sometimes. Nice little piercer to get over things. Next is the Naturia Beast and the Naturia Barkion. Earth monsters, everything, pretty much everything is in here is Earth, and during either player's turn, you can discard the top 2 cards of your deck to negate a spell card. You can banish 2 cards from your graveyard to negate a trap card. So they're good cards. Ancient Fairy Dragon. There's a lot of field spells. Sometimes people are playing now with certain decks. Cosmos have a field spell. Chicken Fun Race or whatever it's called is a field spell. So I go into this if I want to get rid of it and gain 1000 attack. I think I gain 1000 life. Black Rose Dragon, Armades, Leo, just because these are staple cards, synchros that are good. Gagaga Cowboy, Abyss Dweller, Exciton, and 101, basically the staple lineup for rank 4s. But yeah, so I can use Scales and Soulpiercer to go into rank 4 if I need to, which I rarely do. Next up is my side deck. I like my side deck a lot. It's an all monster side deck because it's an all monster deck and you can't use spells and traps, so you got to use all hand traps. So I use 2 Ally of Justice Psycho Reader to discard it to banish up to 2 light monsters from your opponent's graveyard, which is, and use during your player's turn, which is nice. 2 Artifact Lancia. My stuff sucks for being banished, so because a lot of it has to go to the grave. So using Lancia is really good to stop things from being banished, and to stop other decks like Ritual Beast and stuff like that. 1 Chaos Hunter, also to stop things from being banished. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can discard 1 card. Special summon this card from your hand. Your opponent cannot remove cards from play, which is pretty nice. 2 Consecrated Lights. Neither player can normal or special summon dark monsters or declare an attack with a dark monster. This card cannot be destroyed by battle with a dark monster. Also, you take no battle damage from that battle. So it's good just to stop any dark decks which are still out there. 2 DD Crows, same thing as Psycho Reader except for targets any card, and you can only any 1 card. So it's a good hand trap. Electric Virus, side in for the new Black Dragon or Red Eyes Black Dragon deck, and any kind of dragon or machine decks. I can use it again in a mirror match for super heavies and take their stuff, take their Benkeis. 2 Gores, because you can have them, and because why not? If I don't have it running spells and traps, so I don't have to worry about that. So if my monsters get destroyed and Gores is in my hand, I can just special summon Gores and his token. And then 2 Jinzos, which is really nice because Jinzo stops all traps, and I can actually special summon Trumpeter, tribute Trumpeter for Jinzo, or special summon Waraji, and then tribute it for Jinzo, because they say you can only special summon Super Heavy Samurai monsters for the rest of the turn. It doesn't say you can only bring out Super Heavy Samurai monsters for the turn. So it's a good way to bring out a nice Jinzo really easily. There is a card coming out in the next set, which is Dimension of Chaos or something like that. There's a card that lets you, it's a hand trap. It's not a hand trap, it's a pendulum monster. You play in your pendulum zone, and it negates the effects of all other pendulum zone monsters. So it's a really good card. It's another little card to stop pendulum stuff. So I'm going to add that to my extra deck when it comes out, on top of adding Thief to my deck. But yeah, that's it. That's the deck. It's a lot of fun to play. I like it. I like it a lot. It really gets over things. It's crazy how fast you can OTK with this deck because of Benkei and his card and the hand traps with their card's effects. If Soulbang Cannon is on Benkei and you use Gauntlet, because it only doubles the original attack, it'll only make him up to 7,000, won't make him up to 8,000, and you don't want to use multiple Gauntlets in the same turn on the same monster, because it'll still be the same amount of attack. In this deck you don't have to worry about Honest, because Honest gives the opponent's monster the attack of the monster it's battling. So I've had it where I've attacked with Benkei, and they go to use Honest thinking that they're going to gain a whole bunch of attack points to destroy Benkei, and they only gain 1,000. Or I do it with Shutendoji, and they only gain 500. And so then my monster still runs their monster over. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty funny. So yep, thanks for watching. Like, thumbs up, subscribe, do all that stuff that everybody does. Share it, get it out there, and see you around.